What is up, F1 Fantasy friends? Welcome to the Austrian Grand Prix deadline stream. I am very excited for this one. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. Let me get the chat up here. Apparently, I have entered the wrong URL. Would it be a F1 Fantasy deadline stream without a little bit of technical difficulties? There we go. Let's get this out. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, me oh my, it is hot in my part of the world. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you guys are staying cool. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. 6,000 by Silverstone. That is 111 subscribers today. Can we get there today? That would be pretty crazy. It is so good to be back. It's so good to be back in my apartment doing one of these. I think I was talking about it on the Q&A stream the other day. Like, it's been since the Japanese Grand Prix that I've done a deadline live stream at my actual house. Like, not on the phone, not on top of a wobbly chair in a hotel room. It's been fantastic. Just so everybody knows, today's deadline stream will be a tiny bit different. I'm going to answer as many questions as possible, as is the usual kind of vibe on these deadline streams, but I do want to get into a little bit more analysis. I feel like sometimes I just get into question answering mode. I'm not sure how much that is helping. So I have some discussion topics that I want to go over today. Red Bull versus Ferrari versus McLaren, Hadjar versus Gasly versus having both of them, 4A versus non-4A lineups, Bortoleto versus Lindblad, and Hamilton versus Antonelli. So we will go through all of these. Right now, there is a poll going on, Red Bull versus Ferrari versus McLaren for the second best Tier B constructor. Let me know what you think about that, if that is where you're going to go. But let's hop in here. Mr. Best and Rebecca are going to be my mods today, so you guys better behave. Otherwise, they are going to take you down. Jables is in the chat. Good day. Let's rock and roll. Michael says, I like a good analysis to begin. Let's go. Michael's here. Good morning. Mr. Best is here. James is here. Same Noodles is here. JJJ is here. Who else have we got? Same Noodles. Can Racing Bull? Well, let's get into some of these questions here. So Mr. Best is popping in here. Yes, let's go to the FP3 results. Let me get this. I got to make this screen a little bit smaller and get the other screens a tiny bit bigger. I mean, I am a corporate shill, so if you guys are desperate to get a question answered, you can pop a super chat in there, and that will definitely get answered. But let's look at the FP3 results here real quick. No results available. Great job by you, FP1 or F1. Russell, Antonelli, Hamilton, Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc, Hadjar, Lawson, and Lindblad in the top 10. Gasly is in 11th, and then, of course, the Audis are just like right there, 12, 13. Colpinto 14th, and then the pecking order for the bottom half of the midfield right now is Haas, Williams, Cadillac, and Aston Martin. And I don't want any of those 8 assets, which does whittle it down for us, because then we can just focus on these top 14 assets as our drivers this weekend. Russell, Antonelli, Hamilton, Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc, Hadjar, Lawson, Lindblad, Gasly, Hülkenberg, Bortoleto, and Colapinto. If we're going to look at the FP2 sims here real quick, we can see that Antonelli is on top. Antonelli is going to be my 2x boost driver in all 3 of my lineups, guys. I have absolutely no qualms about it. Also, just realized I did not even have the screen up there. Sorry about that. I'm going to flip and flop between those things. Let's see. So, Modest Cowboy Racing says, can Racing Bulls be a constructor choice for value and a double tier A for the drivers? Possibly. I do have a squad right here with Racing Bulls in the lineup. Mercedes and Racing Bulls. That squad went up 3.6 million in value last week, so that was very nice. But I'm going to focus on these discussion topics real quick, because I did want to kind of get into a little bit more of it. So Red Bull versus Ferrari versus McLaren. Last night on my Final Thoughts episode, I was talking about I'm trying to sneak McLaren in here a little bit, and they looked okay. Let's go back to the FP3 results here. And Piastri, Norris, 4 and 5 in FP3. and then they were 2 and 3 yesterday. It does look like Ferrari has turned up a little bit. I'm actually not really. I know George Russell came up at the top of the times, but that was at the very end of FP3 when the track was probably running at its best. Antonelli just looks so far clear. Russell could come around, but I guess what I was saying last night on my final thoughts episode was I was wondering if Mercedes is worth the sacrifice to get to McLaren, and I am totally off of that now, guys. I am not contemplating going to McLaren in at least in to sacrifice Mercedes to get McLaren into my lineup. So I'm off that train of thought. That's I just want to clarify that. As for Red Bull, they did look better. They look better. Verstappen looks like he's getting a grip on the car. Hadjar says that the balance felt nice at the beginning of FP3. So that gives me a little bit more confidence in Red Bull long term. I still don't know if I'm going to go there this week, but I am okay getting Hadjar into my team. I needed to see a little bit of life from Red Bull to bring Hadjar into my teams. I probably was still going to do it anyway, but Red Bull showed me enough that I'm okay with that. I think I'd still rank them Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull. So that's probably where I'm going to end up. Like I said, I've got a poll going right now. What is the vibes? 87 votes. McLaren 41%, Red Bull 1%, and Ferrari 57%. So Ferrari is dominating the polls so far, 57% to McLaren's 41%. That's pretty interesting to see. Let's see here. Ian's in the chat. Saw you on Thursday, Ian. Made my transfers after yesterday's stream. Gone for Kimi, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Gabby, Lawson with McLaren and Mercedes. Worries about what everyone is saying about Ferrari. Thought you would... though, would you drop -10 to get Ferrari in? And you have, who do you have? McLaren. I probably wouldn't. I don't think there's going to be that big of a gap. I think the Sims are saying there's an 11-point gap. That could easily change. Lando Norris loves this track. It wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world to see Lando Norris end up on the front row in a couple hours' time, in 2 or 3 hours' time, here at the Red Bull Ring. So I'm not too worried about that. Onion the first. Russell, Hadjar, Gasly, Lindblad, Hulkenberg with Mercedes and Racing Bulls. What transfers should I do? That's a tough spot. You could go. Can you go like Russell to Antonelli and Racing Bulls up to Alpine? But Racing Bulls look fine. I don't really know. There's no reason for you to go away. McLaren might outscore Ferrari together, but still big reliability risk for Norris, especially. I agree, Veyron. That's true. It's Vibes is in here. What is up? Sam is in the chat. What is up, Sam? Benaz is in the chat. What is up? I missed actually being able to join these live. Yes, let's go, Benaz. Glad to have you in the chat. Let's see. Modest Cowboy Racing is here. Matt's here. Rebecca's here. Michael's here. Rival Mod Day. Let's see. Don't forget to drop that like. Sam is in the chat. What is up? How does this sound for a team? Antonelli, Gasly, Lawson, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, Ferrari. Save a transfer zone. By the way, a lovely 20 degrees Celsius. Oh, I would love some 20 degrees Celsius, Sam. That sounds simply lovely. And so does that lineup. I'm probably going to end up with that squad in my T1 and my T2 squads. So, because what have you got? Antonelli, Gasly, Lawson, Lindblad, Hulkenberg. I'm going to end up with that, probably my T1 squad. But I am fortunate enough that on my T2 squad, I can kind of move things around here and go Lawson and Lindblad to some Hadjar, or Lawson and Bortoletto to a Hadjar Lindblad build, which is pretty nice if I do say so myself. Lindblad was complaining about the brakes a little bit in FP3, but then he still finished, what was it, 9th? So not too worried about that there either. That's my T2 squad. That's where I'm going. Let's see here. Bringing Lindblad in, but who should I take out? Bortoletto or Hulkenberg? I mean, if you can get to Lindblad from Hulkenberg, that's pretty nice. That does increase your budget building ceiling. I did see Porsche F1 and Leapsfrog talking about that on X. Or I guess I saw Porsche F1 talking about it, and then Leapsfrog was kind of expanding on it a little bit this morning, that it might be the way to go. I don't think I can really get there. I've got 3, so I could just go all the way up to Lindblad, but then I'm burning a transfer. And I feel like this Lawson Lindblad, Borletto trio is, I mean, ideally you'd get Hadjar in there, but you're like 6 million short. So I still think I'm gonna go. I still like Hulkenberg, and I don't really have any regrets about keeping him in my squad. Mr. Iceman is in here. What is up, Mr. Iceman? Paolo, hello, Ewan. Following you for the first time this year, and excited to be joining a live Q&A. Thank you. Come on down, Paolo. Appreciate you being here. Let's see, who else have we got? Lots of questions in the chat to begin with. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like Jable says, like that smash button. People show our man some love. I appreciate that. It is. I feel like I'm going to lose 2 pounds doing this stream today. Ola, sorry about your Scotland team. There is still hope, Michael. I can't. Let me see here. What needs to happen for Scotland to qualify today? Congo and Uzbekistan is a draw, or Uzbekistan wins by 3 goals or less. Argentina does not lose to Jordan, and Austria beats Algeria by 2 goals, 2 points. And Ghana beats Croatia by 3 points, and England doesn't lose to Panama. Easy peasy. But oh my goodness, South Africa not going so hot. Like South Africa winning, and then Ecuador winning. And then Egypt not, like, those were the 3 I was banking on. Let's see. Shout out Conrad and Emmett. Sorry, Dad can't 2x Hamilton. Thank you for the super chat, guys. Appreciate that. And let's see. What do we got here? So shout out Conrad and Emmett. Sorry, Dad can't 2x Ham. I mean, if you can't 2x Hamilton, then I mean, you should try and get Hamilton or Antonelli in your squad. But thank you for the super chat, much appreciated. T2 is loaded, fair, says Sam. Yes, thank you. Not likely for a Hulkenberg price rise right now, Hayden. I think he needs 21 points to get a price rise. He has a 2% chance according to F1 Fantasy Tools. But yeah, 21 points to get a 0.2 price rise. I don't think that's going to happen. Who has higher priority, Lindblad or Hadjar? Already have Gasly. Is it okay to delay Hadjar till next week or more? I guess, but then you could maybe do like a little Gasly to Hadjar switch, because once this 25 points are going to drop off of Gasly's rolling average. So depending on what he does this week at the Red Bull Ring, Golf Nerd, Gasly may not be as good of a budget building option. However, over the last 3 seasons, Gasly has finished P10 in back-to-back-to-back years and scored at least 7 F1 fantasy points. I think that's what I said yesterday in my post. Gasly or Hadjar? It's a tough call, Jeff. But let's get back into it here with the discussion topic. So Hadjar versus Gasly versus both. It's a very popular topic. For me, I think I am leaning towards Hadjar, because that Red Bull updates, it seems to have clicked a little bit better today. Hadjar is probably, I'm going to expect Hadjar to get past the Racing Bulls. Like, if we go back to the FP3 results, Hadjar was 8th. Okay, so he was ahead of Liam Lawson and Arvin Levitt. He could finish 8th. That is okay. Like, he has a couple of pit stops. I'm thinking it's going to be a 2-stop race. So Hadjar, he needs 3 points for the max price rise. If he qualifies 8th, that's 3 points. If he finishes 8th, that's 4 points. So that's 7 points right there. Let's say he sneaks in 6 overtakes, 13-ish points, and maybe one of the top drivers DNS, a la McLaren. Then, like, you're looking at an okay day, like 18-ish points. Like, that'd be, yeah, you never count outside. I know. I shouldn't have done it, Benods. That's my bad. But Hadjar could be well on for a price rise. Gasly hasn't been as strong this weekend. 11th in FP3. Where was he at in FP2? Yeah, 11th in FP2 as well. So he's right on the verge there of Q3. He could end up as the, that's what we're talking about right now, actually, Logan, Gasly or Hadjar. I mean, obviously, my T2 squad, let me bring that back up for you guys here. Like, the T1 squad has 117.5 million in budget. The T2 squad has 115.0 or 2 or something like that. I'd love to get both in my squad, and I can do that. The problem is, in this T1 squad, this is like very much like first world problems here. Like, do I want to try and roll another transfer into Silverstone? I do in my T2 squad. I want to keep building on the start of the season that this team has had. And with the two moves that I'm thinking about making, Bortoleto and Lawson out for Hadjar and Lindblad, feels easy peasy. 2 free transfers. I've got 3 free transfers. I roll one into Silverstone. I've got 3 free transfers for Silverstone, whoever teams are building, bringing updates and stuff like that. So that's pretty much set there. I guess we'll get FP3 sims soon enough, maybe in the next 45 minutes to an hour. The T1 squad is a little bit more difficult. I got to get rid of Colapinto. He needs 18 points for price rise. Doesn't look that great. Maybe he will kind of move his way up through the field and score some points. And then that is okay. We can get Franco Colapinto for Silverstone or for Spa if he continues that kind of form. We'll bring him back. That's okay. But do I want to bring him all the way down to like a Lindblad and just have a bunch of money? Like if I bring him all the way down to an Arvid Lindblad, that leaves me 5.9 million in the bank. And say a final fix situation does pop up, I do have enough money there. It would enable me to go to McLaren, but it feels a little sidewaysy and removes a little bit of flexibility in my lineup for Silverstone that I may want to go back to Ferrari in Silverstone, just depending on what it all looks like. So that's where I'm at there. I guess let's start a new poll. It seems like Ferrari's kind of running away with this first one. 157 votes. Best second tier A constructor. Ferrari 66%, McLaren 33%. So we're going to end that poll there. And then we're going to start a new one here. Start a poll. Hadjar or Gasly? Isaac, Pierre. Just let the people know. Where are we going? Let's see. Mr. Iceman actively roasted like a turkey here in the Balkans. 38 degrees Celsius currently. Monday is even worse with 41 degrees. The AC keeping me alive at the moment, not gonna lie. We're in the Balkans, Mr. Iceman. I was just there last week. I was in Kosovo and Skopje and where else was I? Oh my God, Serbia, Belgrade. It was hot. All right, let me go through these questions because I think hopefully I'm answering a bunch of these. Rodrigo, Hamilton, Lawson, Hadjar, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes, 0 free transfers left versus Antonelli, Lawson, Lindblad, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes. Antonelli with the 1 free transfer. Yeah, that's where I'm going with Rodrigo. JJJ saying, is Bortoleto and Ocon to Hulkenberg and Gasly a good idea? All I can afford. Yep, love that as well, JJJ. Matthew says, have the budget for Antonelli, Hadjar, Gasly, Lindbergh, and Hulk with Mercedes. Locked it in days before the weekend before because I overthink lineups. What do you think about after? Still good with me, Matthew. I think I'm going to probably be right in that same range. Hi, I have Kimi, Lawson, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Merck, and Ferrari. Should I bring in Hadjar or just go with Gasly only? I save a change as well with him. If it lets you roll one, then I don't mind it. I don't mind not going with Hadjar this week if it saves you a transfer. It's not the worst thing in the world. Troll, I'd say Bortoleto for budget, but Hulkenberg for chance of more points. Daniel thinks Lewis is going to end up on pole. Pabooster, 114.9 budget. Ferrari, Mercedes, Antonelli, Gasly, Colapinto, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg. Really lost because I'm 0.1 off Bortoleto, Colapinto to Hadjar, Lindblad. You could just go Colapinto to Lindblad, Pabooster, and you should be okay. Let's see here. Dado says, hello, brother. Hope you're doing great. What to do with Bortoleto? Should we go with Lindblad instead or leave? I have both Audis. See, that is a scenario where I kind of like getting off of a double Audi where you can just go with Lindblad. He has such a better budget building potential this week compared to Bortoleto. And I had a tweet earlier this week, since the Japanese Grand Prix, Gabriel Bortoleto and Esteban Ocon are the only 2 Tier B drivers to score at least 1 point every F1 fantasy weekend since the Japanese Grand Prix. However, Gabriel Bortoleto is also the only Tier B driver out of the entire list that includes Stroll and Alonso and Bottas and Perez and Sainz and Albon and Ocon and Behrman and all those other Tier B drivers, Gabriel Bortoleto, since the Japanese Grand Prix, is the only Tier B driver to not score double digits in a single F1 Fantasy weekend. He could do it this weekend, but 9 points for a 0.6 price rise for someone who has not scored more than 7 points since the Japanese Grand Prix. I will show you guys. I know you guys are like, that can't be right. He's an idiot. That can't be right. Look at this. 37557. And let's go there. Gasly, double. Ocon, double. Or double. Lawson, double. Sainz, double digits. Colapinto, double digits. Perez, double digits. Hadjar, double digits. Behrman, double digits. Lindblad, double digits. Albon, double digits. Alonso, double digits. Bottas, double digits. Hulkenberg, double digits. And Stroll, double digits. It's crazy. When I found that stat, I was like, what? How has Gabriel Bortoleto gone that long? It's been since the Australian Grand Prix that he scored double-digit points. What is going on with Leclerc? He just seems a little bit lost right now, womp, womp, womp. And he says he hasn't had the feel for it. And I think we just got to stay away. Just got to stay away. Doesn't mean we have to stay away from Ferrari. I would probably say Leclerc is going to end up 6th or 7th this weekend. I would be surprised if he is able to get ahead of the McLarens, the Mercs, or Verstappen. Hamilton, I think he can get there. Or he can't. I don't think he's going to get past Hamilton, but I think Hamilton can get past the McLarens, Verstappen, and maybe one of the Mercedes. He is just driving that well. And we are at 5,900 subscribers, folks. 100 to go. 11 down, 100 to go for 6K by Silverstone. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to ask a question. And hopefully I'm getting to your questions during these discussions. That is kind of the point. I want to do an all-encompassing thing. So if I am not directly calling out your username on the chat, I'm hoping that I'm getting to it with the discussions that I'm having throughout the course of the 2-hour deadline live stream. And then right after this deadline live stream, I'm hopping in my car and I'm going to Salzburg tonight because tomorrow I'm going to be at the race. So yeah, in 24 hours, I will be baking in the Styrian Hills? I'll just say the Austrian Alps sun and being there. Madhav says, Lawson plus Colapinto to Hadjar plus Lindblad, or keep Lawson and go Colapinto to Lindblad and save a transfer. Can't get Colapinto to Hadjar. I'm right there with that T1 squad, Madhav. I think that's where I'm going to end up going. I think I might just roll the transfer, but we'll see what the FP3 sims say. BoxBox F1 Fantasy, Quinton. Everyone should go to BoxBox F1 Fantasy's YouTube channel and subscribe. One of the up-and-coming, or just not even up-and-coming, just one of the newest F1 Fantasy content creators. Fantastic website that also has their own sims, so you should go check that out. Thank you for being here, Quinton. Did FP3 change any of your thoughts for your lineups? I think it made me settle down on the possibility of not going with Ferrari and getting McLaren in a little bit. And I feel good enough about Hamilton's upside. Leclerc looks okay. Red Bull looks fine. So I'm comfortable bringing Hadjar in at teams that I'm able to. So that's it just probably solidified my earlier in the week opinions, Quinton. And that's kind of, so the overthinking that maybe I was doing on my final thoughts video yesterday has maybe subsided a little bit. Let's see here. Okay. Morning, says Avalanche Pro. Morning to you, sir. Okay, let's get up here. What is the next discussion question? Hadjar versus Gasly versus Bell. We've done that. So, you know what? I think for about the next 20 minutes, I'm just going to blitz all these questions. So let's get to it here. And I will try to catch up as best as I can. So for the next 20 minutes until, what does that clock say? That's going to say 1:15, an hour and 15 minutes to go. I will just be answering your questions. So if I'm going to start going through them bit by bit right here, starting with Alex. Current team, Antonelli, Hadjar, Lawson, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, Ferrari. I can make one move to go Antonelli for Hamilton, then depends how it goes. Final fix. For Hamilton, second place in my league, so I'm trying to budget build. With the way that Antonelli is driving right now, Alex, he might get to that budget, 10 points for qualifying, 20 points or 25 points for the win. That's 35 right off the bat. He needs 5 more to get that max price rise. I think that's okay. I know Hamilton, but and even if he doesn't, it's still only 0.2 million. And using a chip for that budget building, I think that's not going to be worth it. So I definitely wouldn't use the final fix chip on that in that scenario. User 4455 F1. I have McLaren. Do I stick you in top 300 ATM and everyone around this rank has Ferrari? I may not do it as I want to roll to 3 free transfers into Silverstone. McLaren could be decent at Silverstone as well, like home race, all that stuff. More corners, so Ferrari could be kind of coming back there a little bit. They'll have more time with their new engine update and stuff like that. It is really tough to stick between, to kind of flip and flop between these tier A assets at the constructor level. And I think that is also what is maybe stopping me from going to McLaren, because it just feels like I might want to go back to Ferrari next week. I just need to see a little bit more from McLaren, plus the reliability issues. Lando has already been in the shop this weekend again. Like, when will this guy have a clean weekend? I do not know, but he is getting there. Hadjar or Gasly, if I can only get one of them, I'm going Hadjar. So hopefully, if you guys have answered that question, that is a answer for y'all. Golf Nerd says, thinking Alpine, Antonelli, Gasly, Lawson, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, Alpine. Struggling with budget, only 107.6. Thinking Alpine to Racing Bulls, Bortoleto to Hadjar, Hulkenberg to Lindblad. Consider even more aggressive budget building by going Alpine and VCarb. Thoughts? I wouldn't go all the way aggressive with that, Golf Nerd, but I like the initial thinking of building budget there with those moves. Bortoleto to Hadjar, Hulkenberg to Lindblad. That all seems fine to me. Saksham, what to do you in? Mercedes versus Ferrari, McLaren versus Mercedes. The real worry is Leclerc, because he isn't finishing top 5, I guess, and also the reliability of Merc engine. Max is in the mix for podium. Oh, sorry. Honestly, I would stick with what you've got. Saksham, so whatever you have, if you have Mercedes Ferrari, I would stick with Mercedes Ferrari. If you have Mercedes McLaren, I would go Mercedes McLaren, unless it enables like a big move from like Hulkenberg up to a Lawson or something crazy like that. Alex says, or do I go Hamilton, Gasly, Hadjar, Lindblad, Hulkenberg with 2 moves? No, I think what I talked about, Alex, with your first team was fine. Henry, what is up? Hi, Ewan. Should I just keep McLaren if I already on my team don't want to make a lateral move and would prefer to have extra transfers for silver? Yep, exactly, Henry. That's what I was talking about. Worth rolling transfer to be able to go to 4A next week, or use both and swap Gasly to Hadjar. This kind of leads into that 4A discussion. I don't think I'm going to be ready to go to 4A next week in Silverstone, because we are just going to have to keep riding these terrible assets. Like, I'm happy to let Behrman like be an option next week for me. Bottas is going to be 3 million next week. So I'm definitely not 4A this week. We'll see what happens in Silverstone. And that's why I am kind of promoting having 3 free transfers for Silverstone if you can get there. So rolling a transfer into Silverstone is really what you want. If you have 3 free transfers, that is fantastic, because you can just kind of adjust to whatever happens this weekend and potentially set yourself team up very well for Silverstone and potentially a 4A build in Spa or Hungary. Yes, Spa and Hungary. Varon says, I've had terrible luck with DNS for several races and budget got tanked, only 113.5 million. That's actually pretty good, Varon. There's a lot of people less than 110. Marty Villavidal, I'm considering doing Kimi, Hamilton, Lawson, Bordello, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, VCarb. I could take a -10 to put Lindblad for Hulk. Probably wouldn't take a -10, but I don't mind that whole strategy right there. Matt is in the chat. For the Gasly-Hadjar debate, most people drop Lawson to have Hadjar plus Gasly. Is there something to be said to having Gasly plus keeping Lawson and upgrading Hulk to Bortoleto? That is what Porsche F1 was saying with the budget building strategy. And it's a great point. I honestly have not really gone down that route for any of my teams. If I look at it right now, if I just do... See, the thing is, with my T1 squad, I'm looking at it right now, I have Colapinto and Lawson and Hulkenberg, and it would take me 2 moves to get to something like that, where I have Lindblad and Bortoleto. and I just don't think that's that much better than Lindblad and Borletto. I don't know. So just getting Colapinto out of my lineup and bringing Lindblad in with Hulkenberg, who can't fall, is not as bad. Does that make sense? I don't mind having Hulkenberg. I think he has the same point scoring upside as Gabby Bortoletto and potentially more, and he doesn't have the downside of potentially dropping budget. So it's a little bit of defense on my end, but if you feel like you need to chase budget a little bit more, I don't mind it. But like I said earlier, Gabby Bortoletto has not shown that fantastic F1 fantasy upside in the points department. QWERTY says, budget-wise, would you pick Hadjar, Hulkenberg, or Bortoletto Lawson? The first one is safer, but the second one has a higher ceiling. It does. And I think I'm still going with that Hadjar Hulkenberg build. Yeah, I think that's going to be my answer. I have Colapinto and have doubts about him because he isn't finishing top 12 in any practice session. Yeah, I would get off of Colapinto to like a Lawson or a Lindblad. Let's see here. Mr. Best, one of the mods. Thank you, Mr. Best, for doing your best here while we get some questions going. Right now, the poll is 140 votes, 141 votes. Isaac is at 57%. Pierre is at 43%. I would say the only definite transfer this week for everyone who has double Audi is to swap Bortoletto to Lindblad and roll a transfer to Silverstone. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, so I don't mind it at all. Tom Williams, a free transfer worth more than sideways move from Gasly to Hadjar. Personally, I believe in that too. Remove Gabby or Lawson for Lindblad. Gabby for me, because I think Racing Bulls looks like they're kind of vibing with this track a little bit. Do you think I should do Merck, Racing Bulls, Antonelli, Norris, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, and Bottas? And Norris, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, and Bottas. No, not Bottas. I think you'd probably have to pay money to get good odds on both Cadillacs finishing, or you'd get good odds on both Cadillacs finishing the race, if that makes sense. Hi, Ewan Greens from Bosnia. Should I replace Gasly with Hadjar, or do I keep Gasly and replace Lindblad and Colapinto with Hadjar and Bottas? Not Bottas. Never Bottas. Never Caddy. So if Gasly to Hadjar is really your only your only viable move for this week, and that's just going to be your only move, I don't mind it, but not the Bottas move. Not a huge fan. Michael's talking about Scotland's rotten luck with these World Cup results, even though they did it to themselves, so I can't really be mad. Only practical reason Bird two transfers will be if you can have this team: Antonelli, Gasly, Hadjar, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes. Yep, agreed. It's vibes. T3 got Antonelli, Bortoletto, Lawson, Gasly, Lindblad, Mercedes, Ferrari. To be honest, I was thinking to change Gasly to Hadjar. He might get more points. What do you think? If that's your one move for the week, I don't mind it, but I don't think it feels like a luxury transfer. Like if you didn't have Hadjar and Gasly and you were picking one, I'd go with Hadjar. But if you already have, it's kind of similar to the Ferrari McLaren vibe. Like if you already have Gasly and you want to switch to Hadjar, I don't know if that's worth it because I value the free transfer that little bit more. If that makes sense, it's vibes. Hi, I have Kimi, Lawson, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, and Ferrari. Should I bring in Hadjar or just go with Gasly only? I save a change with him as well. Same thing. Like I value the free transfer a little bit more, especially if you can get Hadjar, if you can get to Hadjar next week as well. Drew says, hi, Ewan. Have Antonelli, Lawson, Gasly, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes have two transfers. Was thinking Hulkenberg to Lindblad, but open to any suggestions. Love that move. Yeah. Love that move a lot, to be honest. Very nice. Very nice indeed. David, my current team is Ferrari, Mercedes, Antonelli, Gasly, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Lindblad. Would you change anything? Only have 2.4 million. You can't. You're just short of going Bortoletto to Lawson, which is unfortunate. And you already have Lindblad. No, I don't think I would change anything, David. I think that's a pretty solid squad. I guess in that scenario, if that is your team already, like coming into the weekend, you have two free transfers, you can only roll one, so maybe I would swap Gasly to Hulkenberg, or no, to Hadjar, and to avoid not burning a transfer, but I don't know. That's really a flip of a coin. Should I do... no, I would not 3x this weekend, Onion the First. I would wait till Silverstone, because it's a sprint weekend. McLaren, Lawson, or Ferrari, Hadjar? That's a tough one. Because you got the lower asset. If you already have McLaren Lawson, whichever side you already have, I would probably stick with that side. But I think I'm kind of vibing with the Ferrari Hadjar side there, Blake. Would you do Hadjar for a -10 or stick with Lawson? Probably stick with Lawson. I think he's probably going to rise in budget. So Colpinto versus Bort says Audi always show a possibility of points finish, but Alpine have a great engine. The question is, can he do the overtake from the 15th to 10th and 11th? And is it good to take a 0.6 million hit? I don't think it's good. I'm getting off Colpinto at all costs this week. Maybe not for a -10, but he would be a priority transfer for me. I think I answered that question on the first. Canada versus South Africa need a pole, says Modest Cowboy Racing. Maybe we'll get to that at the end of the episode. Modest Cowboy. Noah says team budget 13.5 million, 1.7 million in the bank. Antonelli, Gasly, Lawson, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes. What should I do? That is a good question. Antonelli, Gasly, Lawson, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes. I really like the squad. There's not a lot I would do there. Like, so if you went Lawson to Lindblad, you'd get 3.1 million extra, which moves you up to 4.8 million. Does that get you in the, I guess you could do Ferrari, but I mean, that's a solid squad, Noah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that team. Kevin says Antonelli plus Lawson and save one transfer, Hamilton plus Hadjar and use both transfers. Antonelli Lawson for me, for sure, Kevin. Good question, but yeah, Antonelli Lawson for me. How much are you taking into account reliability with the heat? Do you think Ferrari engines will fare better than Mercedes? From what I saw with Mercedes yesterday, it sounds so on F1 TV yesterday for FP1, they were talking about how all the Mercedes teams took these new batteries that are the battery update, and everyone with a Mercedes power unit took it except Norris and Albon because that would have gone over their allocation for the new update. I think Norris is trying to make it to Spa or something like that, like classic kind of take a -90 grid penalty and then just blitz through the field in Spa. So we might need to keep that in our brains for Spa with Lando Norris, which isn't going to be that hard because right now, guys, like Lando Norris is about to be the same price as Kimi Antonelli starting next week in Silverstone, which is wild when you think about where they started at the beginning of the season. It looks like we have new sims. They just came out 1 minute ago. Ryder is saying not a big change, but Hadjar over Gasly on this occasion. Probably better for Silverstone also. So his stats team is Mercedes, Ferrari, Antonelli, Hadjar, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto. Not bad. Not bad at all. I am back on Ferrari hype train. Let's see. Keep going. Where are we at? We got 7 more minutes of questions before I get back into the discussion, and then we'll go over the sims after that, guys. Also, I need to do F1 predict, right? I answered that question. Benods, would you replace Hulkenberg with Lindblad if it uses the second free transfer? I imagine keeping Hulkenberg wouldn't be a bad idea, plus the flexibility of 3 free transfers next week. That is a really good, tough question, Benods. Sims out, says Michael. Yep, I just saw it. Thank you, Michael. Great looking out. Would you replace Hulkenberg with Lindblad if it uses a second free transfer? That is tough, but I think I would. Yeah, I'm going to say yes to that question, but it is tough. Who else have we got? Let's see here. Ooh la la. Hadjar talks about feeling pretty comfortable early in today. He sure did, Michael. Great point. Where are we? I answered that question, Onion. Answer that question. What do you think about the no negative chip this weekend? I am very pro the no negative chip this week. It's just, I don't really have any of the assets that I feel will likely DNF. You know, like your Aston Martins and your Cadillacs, that kind of thing. But it seems like every weekend is a good weekend to play the no negative. Part part of me is saying if you're going to play it, why not wait for a sprint weekend when there are more chances of the no negative or collecting DNFs, like a -10 in the sprint, -20 in a Grand Prix, like that kind of vibe. But I can't fault anyone that plays a no negative chip just based off of a vibe because it's hurting. I think it was we looked it up on the Thursday Q&A stream. It's like 567 or 665 or something the last 3 races. It's been crazy. I think F1 Fantasy Rob also talked about it. Is it worth me having both Gasly and Hadjar with Ferrari or just Hadjar with McLaren? I like Gasly, Hadjar, and Ferrari, Blue Storm. That's a great question. Bosnia. Ah, nice. I went there 2 or 3 years ago. Really nice part of the world. Ferrari look much quicker. Would they be the obvious choice over McLaren? Bang for your buck, yes, but if you already have McLaren, I don't hate sticking with them. Hadjar for a -10 or stick with Lawson for free. If I go with Hadjar, I will have 0.1 million in the bank. Not for a -10. I might need to do the Gasly Hadjar poll again. Oh, did it get messed up? Sorry. Isaac is 57%. Pierre is 43%. If someone can vote in the poll, maybe it is broken. Okay. Yeah. Thoughts on dropping Kimi to Hamilton so I go from Lawson to Hadjar and prioritizing budget building over points. I think you're fine with Kimi and Lawson for budget building there. The Kimi to Hamilton 0.2 rise is not that big a deal. And Lawson and Hadjar should both rise this week as well. I think. Lawson a little less likely than Hadjar. I understand that. But now let's go check out the... oh, we should have new sims here, I believe. Austria post FP3. Lawson is a 38% chance of a max price rise. Hadjar, 82% chance. Lindblad, 78% chance. So I'm not too worried about it. Antonelli now has a 49% chance of that 0.3 million rise. So Ryder is kind of 36 points. All he needs is really like one bonus point. One bonus, fastest lap, driver of the day, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't worry too much. Can we have a third option for the poll? Keep whichever one you already have. That is a good point. The worry I have with Ferrari is Leclerc overdrives the car and ends up in the gravel. That could happen, Joe, but it's kind of, you know, I don't know. Maybe Charles is just like happy to collect a P6, P7 and just get ready for Silverstone. I don't know. The vibes are bad with Charles Leclerc right now. But I think I'd still rather have a bad driving Charles Leclerc than a risky McLaren build because it's been tough for McLaren to get through a weekend without some sort of issue kind of costing them at some point. Fingers crossed we don't see Hulk's car on fire 2 minutes before the start. That would be great. Kimmy's going to win, says Carter. Quinnen's got his post FP3 sims up on his website if you're going to want to go check those out. Thoughts on doing Hamilton and Kimmy in the same team with Mercedes and VCarb? That's something that I would like for Silverstone next weekend, Marty, and then you hit the 3x boost. How about Antonelli, Lawson, Hadjar, Lindblad, Bordello, Mercedes, Ferrari? Love it. Hello from South Africa, says Conrad. Hello, Conrad. Thank you for tuning in. South Africa, breaking my heart. Actually, I'm not going to say South Africa broke my heart. I'm going to say Korea broke my heart by losing to South Africa. Because, yeah, upset. Happy for y'all, miserable for my Scots. But that's what I get for being Scottish. Braden says, if you had to go Hamilton in order to get Gasly and Hadjar and Lindblad, would you do it? I'm at 114.3 cost cap with Hulkenberg, Bordello, Kimi, Lawson, Gasly, Mercedes, and Ferrari to get Gasly and Hadjar and Lindblad. I don't think so because I think you have a pretty strong squad already, Braden. So I don't think you need to you don't need to go out on a limb too much there. Peter says, sorry I've covered already. Is Isaac on for a max price rise? He has 82% chance of a max price rise, according to the new FP3 Sims, and I am backing him. The Iceberg says, hello, Ewan in chat. Am I the only one who is really thinking against going Kimmy? It could be a huge swing, but I'm not prepared to go against Kimi Antonelli right now. He looks absolutely on it. Even if George Russell did pip him to the top of the times in FP3, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it at all. I've walked it. 118.3 million budget. I can get to 4A. Would have to get Cadillac though. Better off going Hadjar, Gasly, Antonelli, and waiting until I could go 4A. Yep, totally agree. I've walked it. Yep, get off. Don't. If you can, I mean, shout out to Luke F1 Fantasy. He had a fantastic F1 Fantasy Intelligence video, which is a series he has, and he was talking about how we should look at budgets as in like a threshold of where we can get to, where like 4A is great, but 4A with Stroll, Bottas, and Hulkenberg is not great. 4A with Lindblad, Bortoleto, and Hulkenberg is the next step. And I don't remember what that was at, but you're going to be pretty close to it. I've walked it, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. Good day, sir, says Fraser. This time I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not just totally leaving now like last time, Fraser. I really was hoping I could save a transfer and stick with Mercedes McLaren, but looked like Ferrari really strong after FP3. It is tough. I think if you're on McLaren, I understand the temptation to go to Ferrari, but I still think I'd like to kind of hold that transfer. I don't think it's that bad. So we will see. Let's see here. What do we got? We still got the Sims. Okay. Let me get back into, we're on the discussion topics here. So 4A versus non-4A lineups. I guess we can get into that a little bit. Oh, looks like I have missed a super chat. I'm sorry. Where'd that go? Brad, G9M says, autopilot if you can't decide to 2x Ham or Antonelli. Personally, I think that could be saved for a sprint weekend as well. But I don't... That's a tough decision. Thank you for the super chat. Maybe autopilot is overthought. I mean, I used autopilot on my T1 squad, the first race of the season, or my T2 squad, first race of the season. So shout out to that, getting me like 4 points. But if Hamilton wins with fastest lap and driver of the day again, it could be another pretty big swing in F1 Fantasy. So if you feel like it's pretty strong to play it this weekend, then I do not mind it at all. But maybe I tried to save it for Silverstone. I don't know if there could be bigger swings, but not too bad there. Where have I gone? No negative is a shout. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Fake 293. I have Ferrari and McLaren on my team, so which one should I switch for McLaren or Mercedes? Hard to say which is going to be better today, but Ferrari seems way better long term. Yeah, I mean, still better bang for your buck. Oh, goodness. I just switched to a totally... Look at that. There we go. Perfect. What else have we got? Oh, I really am sweating quite a bit. We have a new member, Nate. Welcome to the Pole Sitter Club. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. Don't forget to hop in the Discord. Some people have joined, but they're not in the Discord. And it should be pretty simple, but hit me up on X at F1FantasyEwan if you cannot get in. I will be happy to help. Andreas says, Hadjar or Gasly? I am leaning Hadjar, Andreas. Thank you for the question, and thank you for supporting F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Would you do both Gasly and Hadjar? Yes, I would, the Hidden Void. I do want to talk about, well, we're kind of talking about the 4A lineup, right? And let me bring my window back. There we go. So let's go to, this team has 117.5 million in the bank. So if I go with what you would need for a 4A lineup here, the next best option is Valtteri Bottas, and I've got 4.9 million, so I can fit in Lance Stroll. Do you guys want this as an F1 Fantasy team? Hadjar is up 59% to Pierre Gasly's 41%, and the poll has been going for 30 minutes, so I'm going to close it there, and we're going to get another poll going. It's like, if you could, would you move to a 4A lineup? Yes. No. Welcome, Nate, says Mark. Thank you, Mark, for welcoming Nate. Lawson or Hajar? Hajar for me. Let's go back here. But yes, thank you, Nate. Welcome to F1 Fantasy Pole Positioners. And thank you for the super chats. Let's see. The late sims show 2 more points and 0.3 more million in budget if you bring Lindblad over Hulkenberg. I feel like extra transfer next week might mean more. I agree, Benods. I agree with that. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I haven't missed any members. I am working my way through the questions. Thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate that. My final team, I'll probably go through that in about 40 minutes. I wouldn't care about Kimmy's values in that. I agree. I agree with that, JJJ. Okay, let's see here, Carter. Hajar for a -10 or stick with Lawson for free if I go Hajar. I think I answered that already, Carter. I think I said I would stick. Paolo, I think I answered that question as well. Cool. Meister Iceman, should I keep the wild card for Silverstone? Can't afford 4A with only for current budget and only have Perez and Bordelais who are most likely to fall. Yeah, I can't say I'm loving Perez or Cadillac this weekend. But so this 4A lineup on the screen right now, like we don't want this. We don't want this in our lineup, right? We want to wait until we can get at least Bottas and Stroll out of this lineup, which means I've got 8.2 million. Lindblad is next, so 2.6 million. So we're about 3.5-ish million away from getting to where we want to go. If Lindblad goes up, and then we got Behrman, who's going to fall to 7 million, that does get us a little bit closer throughout the week. You could maybe finagle a McLaren build, and you can just have one really bad asset. Maybe if Bottas, like next weekend, maybe that's not as bad if you have 2 floor assets, but I don't love that either. How is the poll going so far? No is at 73%. Yes is at 28%. I hope everyone is liking the video and subscribing to the YouTube channel if they want to ask a question. I really am trying to get through them, but I'm hoping that my kind of discussion is going over some of your questions as well. So hopefully you guys are kind of listening along as we go. What else have we got here? Dan Rushton. Hey, bud. Top 100 in the world. Shout out to you, Dan. Great job by you. Currently have Mercedes, McLaren, Russell, Lawson, Lindblad, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg. Considering going Mercedes, Racing Bulls, Antonelli, Russell, Bortoletto, Lindblad, Hulkenberg. That is a big shout if you're in the top 100 in the world, Dan. Can't say that that's something I would do, but you're top 100 in the world, so obviously you're doing something right already. And just so people know, those post FP2 sims are now out of date because we have FP3 sims that we can go over. Antonelli has kind of increased his lead over Russell. Hamilton's right there, still backing Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris, Piastri, Hajar, Lawson, Lindblad. It all looks pretty simple. Mercedes have lost maybe like a point, and Ferrari is ahead of McLaren by 13 points now. Whew. Let's see. Yeah, so Dan, I mean, it's an interesting thought. I have a similar kind of squad on my T3 squad, but that's only got like 112 million. So it's not great in the budget department. Top 100 in the world, I gotta say, I'd be pretty cautious. But it's a good question. It's a good thought. It could work like a charm and get you into the top 10 by the end of the weekend. But if you're in top 100, I'm kind of holding steady and waiting for my moment a little bit better than that. Stanley Kubrick says, hi, you and my current team, Antonelli, Hajar, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto. What about Lawson, Lindblad in and yeah. Yeah, that's simply lovely, especially if you have 3 free transfers, Stanley Kubrick. I like that a lot. 2 free transfers, I don't love it as much. Yeah. Fraser says, surprised you're still pro McLaren. I'm not. I guess I wouldn't be pro McLaren. I'm just maybe a little bit more like hold the transfer kind of vibe, Fraser. Which is tough because I Ferrari could score more points than McLaren. Obviously, there'll be a better bang for your buck kind of thing. It is tough. But if you kind of went to that McLaren build last weekend, You kind of got bailed out a tiny bit by the DNFs, which is fine. That happens to everyone. It goes all over the spot. The swings are massive all season long in F1 Fantasy because of the DNFs. But it does feel like McLaren could be pretty strong in Silverstone next weekend as well, and you're going to be like, oh, I just flipped to Ferrari, and now McLaren looks strong again. Like, it's a lot of transfers, especially when you are also at the same time trying to build budget, and you're going with these Colapinto, or you're trying to get off of Colapinto, you're trying to bring in Gasly, you're trying to bring in Hadjar, Lindblad, Lawson, get to Hulkenberg, like that kind of stuff. It just feels maybe like a luxury transfer. I know it's a lot of points, but maybe you can get away with it by also just rolling that transfer and having more flexibility heading into Silverstone. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Arav, one transfer less, have Colapinto. Can't go Lawson, Lindblad, Bortoleto, or Hulkenberg for reasons. Should I stick with Colapinto or move to Perez? Why can you not go to any of those options? Because they are all better than Colapinto and Perez, in my opinion. So if you can get to any of those options, that would be a lot better. Varen says, my T2 is Russell, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Bortoleto, Lawson, Mercedes, Ferrari. Already got the safe T1 team. Your T2, thinking differential, Russell, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Bortoleto, McLaren, Mercedes. I don't know if I'd be bringing in McLaren. I think I'd just stick with Ferrari. Dado says, I have 2 transfers, Antonelli Gasly, Lawson, Bortoleto, or both Audis. I have money to move Bortoleto to Hadjar and Lawson to Lindblad. Is that reasonable? That is great. Love that team, Dado. Farron says, Dan Rush, I'm literally going the exact opposite direction. Buyaka says, good luck, everyone, and stay hydrated, everyone, in the heat wave. I'm doing my best. Actually, hold on. Let me take a couple of sips here. And I know someone was saying that I sip really loud. Actually, that's exactly what people said in my Dungeons and Dragons chat during COVID. They called me Glug Glug. It was ridiculous. Glug Glug the Giant was my Dungeons and Dragons nickname. I feel like that. Oh, you know what happened? I reset the timer. That timer is so off now. I gotta change that timer, because when I went to that different screen, it totally reset the timer. So there is not 120 minutes left. There are 62 minutes left. Let's see here. Let's see how close I can get to the timer on my laptop. It should be coming up very soon-ish. This is fantastic deadline stream television. You guys are awesome for sticking around with me as I try and get this right on the buzzer. Boom. There we go. Okay. Where are we at? Golf Nerd. Antonelli, Gasly, Lawson, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, Alpine budget is 107.6 million. Another idea is Bortoleto to Hamilton, Hulkenberg to Lindblad, and Mercedes to VCarb. Or do you think it's just not worth losing points by going 2 tier? Because I do not. I would stick with at least 1 tier A constructor, Golf Nerd. Antonelli, Lindblad, Colapinto, Bortoleto, Lawson, Mercedes, Ferrari. Thinking of switching Colapinto, Bortoleto, Lawson to Hadjar, Gasly, Hulkenberg, but that means she's all 3 of my transfers. Should I go for it? Thanks, you. And I would really like to save those transfers for next weekend's same noodles. So if you can limit those down to 2, I probably would. And it would be, I would prioritize getting Colapinto out of the lineup and bringing Hadjar in. So whatever enables that in the easiest amount of moves. McLaren to Ferrari to allow Lawson to Hadjar. That is an interesting combination, and I would probably say yes, Peter. I would probably say yes. If I go for Bortoleto over Hulkenberg, I feel it's a waste because I will probably have to go back to Hulkenberg next week. Then do not do that, troll. Don't do it. T2 has 111.5 in budget, and I feel I need to catch up. Worth burning 3 transfers to move from Ferrari to VCarb and get Hadjar, Gasly, etc. No, because you might want those transfers next weekend, Paolo. And I think just keeping the 111.5 million is actually not that bad of a budget. I think you're okay. You're in the ballpark. You just need like one big weekend to go your way. You'll be okay. Gasly or Lawson? Thoughts? Gasly for me. Gasly or Hadjar? Hadjar. Hey, Glug Glug. Enjoying you with my leg up on a cushion, recovering from a knee op. Good to catch you live. Oh, FPL Discomfort, living up to your name, sir. Thank you for joining the chat. Hope you're doing all right. Just getting some off-season surgery to prepare for FPL's new season, probably launching in what, like a month, like a week after the World Cup. But yeah, hope you're doing all right, mate. Thank you for joining the chat, and hope all is well with you. Let's see here. Let's go. Booyah. Colapinto or Ocon? Ocon for me, just because of the easier budget building, but not sure if I got your question, says Lannister. Where are you at, Lannister? I saw you in here somewhere. Kimi, Gasly, Lawson, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto now. Should I bring both Hadjar, Gasly out, Lawson, Bortoletto, or go to budget and move Hulkenberg out for Lindblad and carry one free transfer? Carry the free transfer. Carry the one. Guaranteed negative 40 every week. Pretty much if you run the Cadillac. Keep Colapinto versus Ocon. If it's your one transfer, I'd probably go to Ocon, but Colapinto is probably going to score more points than Ocon, but Ocon has a better budget building potential, Mark. So I'd probably go Ocon. They're both kind of gross, to be honest. Colapinto for points, Ocon for budget, but I'm not really that confident that Ocon is going to go up in budget either, if I'm going to be honest. Like F1 Fantasy Tools has him at 32% chance of rising, which is like 4 or 5 times more than they are confident in Colapinto rising. But still, that's really tough because with Colapinto, you're pretty much looking at a price drop. I'm very confident that Kimi sweeps the weekend. He looks absolutely on it. Marino, hi mate. Would you change Lawson, Colapinto for Lindblad, Gasly, or Hadjar? I don't have budget to get rid of Colapinto for Gasly, Hadjar, and one. I think I'm going to do that in one of my teams, actually. That's one of my potential moves in my T1 squad, Marino, where I could go Colapinto to Lawson. I might just do Colapinto to Lindblad and keep Lawson and run double Racing Bulls, but that's not that bad. When is the next opportunity to use Limitless in your opinion? Probably next weekend at Silverstone. Get a boatload of points. Russell versus Hadjar versus Antonelli versus Russell and Perez versus Bottas versus Lindblad. Priority order for both. I would go Antonelli over Russell and then Lindblad over Perez over Bottas. Let's see here. How about Gasly or Hadjar, but need to run Bottas as a result, or Colapinto out Lawson and have to keep Bortoletto? Second option for me, Mark. Why Hadjar over Gasly? I think it's just points upside for me. So, yeah. Hadjar over Gasly for me is just like long-term as well. I think Hadjar is going to be a better hold for Silverstone because Gasly's 25 points for Monaco are going to drop off to 17. And if he rises, he'll be 12.8 million. Whereas Hadjar still has that 22 points from Barcelona hanging onto his 3-race rolling average with whatever happens this weekend. And I mean, Gasly was 11th in FP2, 11th in FP3. So he could be looking at not getting into Q3 for the first time in a quick minute. And that would hurt. Like, you want that 1 point. And P11 is a little bit of a death sentence in F1 Fantasy. Lawson McLaren or Hadjar Ferrari? Hadjar Ferrari for me, Ved. I would carry the budget, Lannister. I would carry the budget. You are welcome, Mark. Nate, the newest pole sitter. What is up, Nate? 2 transfers, 115.5 million. Kimi, Lawson, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, Ocon, Mercedes, McLaren. On vacation and just got service to get your advice and make the change. Cheers from early morning in Cabo. Oof, that sounds simply lovely. That sounds very nice. Would you choose Lawson, Bortoletto, or Hulkenberg, Hadjar? Hulkenberg, Hadjar for me. For sure. No negative this weekend. Certainly an option. I don't think I'm going to play it. Maybe I'd rather save it for Silverstone, Samsey, but yeah, I think it's fine. Are you scared of reliability with the Red Bull and Hadjar and their upgrades? No, not really. Like, Hadjar's Hajar's reliability was what in Australia, and then he just like simply crashed out in Miami. I'm not too worried about it. Like Mark says, like the stream. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Dan, I said that that was actually a little too cuckoo cuckoo for me if I was in the top 100. So I kind of was like, you're in the top 100 for a reason. So like go with your gut, obviously. But for me, if I was in your position, I don't think I'd be going to that Racing Bulls build. If you're talking about for Silverstone, Russell Antonelli, then possibly, because then you got the 3x boost and stuff like that, and possibly, or autopilot. That is interesting, but maybe not for this weekend. Gasly or Lawson? Gasly. Swap McLaren to Ferrari. I don't love it, but if it's your one free transfer and you get to hold a free transfer, then I do like it. Is it better to get rid of Gasly if limitless next weekend? I think he should still be on for a rise, but maybe just not as easy of a rise, the Hidden Void. Let me go back here. Lawson to Hadjar or roll that extra transfer into Silverstone. That is so tough. Reckless Medic. I do like rolling that transfer into Silverstone, but that Lawson to Hadjar move is very nice. I think I'd probably do the Lawson to Hadjar move. I wish I could do that in one move. I guess, you know what? I don't think I would. I think in this T1 squad, I am thinking about just doing Colapinto to Lindblad and holding the transfer for next weekend. So I guess I wouldn't do that. Sorry, mate. That was a bad answer by me. Hey, Ewan, quick question. Gasly or Hadjar? I don't have any, and I can just have one. Hadjar for me, Air Striker 00. Good morning, Ewan. Ferrari are staying in my team, to be honest. Their starts and medium tire race pace has been great in Montreal, Barcelona. It will matter on Sunday. I agree, M-Dot. I am off. I'm kind of off of my kind of McLaren hype from the Final Thoughts video yesterday. Just got here. Gasly or Hadjar? Worried about the reliability for Hadjar. I'm still going Hadjar. Ferrari. Wish F1 came back to India. That would be sick. Theoretical 4A lineup, Ant, Ham, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Ferrari, Mercedes. Would that be worth it? I still don't think so. It just feels like that. It just feels like it's destined for Bottas to get 3 DNFs in a row. So I'm still not there. I'm not doing 4A DesX. Maybe in a couple of races. 4A light, yes, with the Gasly Hadjar kind of thing is good. Arav, I am trying to find your question. I can't. Oh, Gazman FPL, what is up, mate? Thank you for joining the chat. Sorry, I think I'm. Let's see here. Hi, Ewan. Gonna roll a transfer, but can't go from Colpin to Lawson or Ocon. Who do you think? I would go to Lawson for me, Gazman. McLaren to Ferrari for Bordello to Hadjar, or just save the transfers? No, I kind of like those moves. I like those moves. Where am I at? So what am I doing for all my teams? That is a great question, James. And if everyone will allow me to be selfish for a little bit, let's get into it. Because what are we at? 52 minutes to go until the F1 Fantasy deadline. So what I like to do is I kind of like to look at all my teams, think about what moves I like to make, and then I go to the Sims and see if they agree. And if they agree, it's bingo bango, easy peasy. So for my T1 squad, I've got Antonelli, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Lawson, Ferrari, Mercedes. Yesterday, I was thinking about maybe getting into a McLaren build, but I don't think that's necessary anymore. So one move I definitely want to make is Colapinto out. Colapinto to Lindblad is a very easy move. That gives me enough money to do a Hulkenberg to Bortoletto move or a Lawson to Hadjar move as well. But I do kind of want to have enough to have 3 free transfers for Silverstone. So now this is where I would go to the calculator and maybe that would like help me out a little bit. So here you can see that it says the Hadjar Lindblad move is going to go 233.1 with 1.73 in budget. However, if I just go with The Hadjar. Hold on a minute. Have I been doing this all wrong this entire week? Oh, it wants me to go. How do I get to Hadjar? Oh, instead of Gasly. Oops. Totally missed that. But where does it put just a Lindblad? Yeah, Colapinto to Lindblad is 229.8, 1.6 million in budget. And then if we compare that to the other move here with Hadjar Lindblad, 1.73, 233 points, but not an extra transfer in Silverstone. Let's what is that? Where's that lineup go? Where are you at? There you are. So pin that team and then pin this team. So really it comes down to, do I think an extra transfer for Silverstone is worth 4 points and potentially 1.13 million in budget? And I think it is. I think it is. So I will probably only make one move on that T1 squad. You know what? I could just do it right now and then we can get down to the deadline. That way I don't have to freak out too much about it. So definitely making one move on this squad. So we will do that right now. Confirmed. One free move there. That's fine. I don't mind that squad at all. Moving over to the T2 squad here with Antonelli, Gasly, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Ferrari, and Mercedes as well. I have 2 free transfers here. I can do a Bortoleto down to Lindblad move. It all feels a little too easy this week, and that's where F1 Fantasy gets really scary. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And then just bring in Hadjar, and I've got Antonelli, Gasly, Hadjar, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes. This is what people are calling 4A light, because you've got the 8th best tier A, or the guy in a tier A car, along with probably the best midfield driver. So then I would move over to the team calculator again with my T2 squad. So right now, and then I can unpin these squads because I'm probably not going to go with those. So right now, my team is expected to score 229.1 million in budget. If I make the Hadjar Lindblad move, like I was talking about, keep Lawson. What am I doing here? I have enough money to... I think I'm losing my mind. Oh, I take Gasly out. I don't want to take Gasly out, so I'm not going to do that. But if I do Hadjar, Lindblad, Gasly, Hulkenberg, that's 232.1 with a 1.9 million budget rise. There was people asking about, let's see here, go back. Yeah, I think this is all quite simple and it feels good. 232 points, 1.9 million budget. I mean, it's kind of the same thinking here that I was talking about, but because I have 2 free transfers, I can just use those 2 and just still have a third one to roll into Silverstone as well. Let me know if I'm missing anyone. Vio Fogi says, good morning. So I'm definitely leaving Kim in, depressing all over my Ferrari dreams. I think Ferrari looks good. I would not do a Gasly to Hadjar switch. Having a third free transfer doesn't roll over if you lose Silverstone. That is correct. So it feels like this is probably the move, or whatever that team is. Hadjar Lindblad, 232 points, a little bit more budget. I keep Hadjar, I keep Gasly, Hulkenberg. These teams are tempting, I guess, but I just think those moves are pretty easy. It just feels like the right move. I understand people are thinking maybe I should go like the Hulkenberg route, or like move Hulkenberg up and not bring in Hadjar, but I think Audi look fine. They look good enough to me. And then that will bring in... So yeah, I think I'm just going to do this move. This feels right. Feels A-okay to me. So we're just going to rock and roll with those changes as well. And then the T3 squad does have 2 free transfers. It's on some good budget rising. Colapinto can go to Arvid Lindblad, like that one free transfer there. And I just keep Liam Lawson in. I'll keep Racing Bulls. So I'll have triple Racing Bulls, which could sting. I do have enough money to get up to Alpine, but that's not really the route I want to go down. Because if I have 3 free transfers for next week, there is a world where maybe I can take a -10 and get back into a bigger, like a Hadjar all the way down to a Hulkenberg, gets me 9 million. Now maybe we're cooking a little bit with some 2A drivers, 3X kind of builds. So this would be my one move here. And let's see what the F3 or F3 fantasy pole position is. Nope. Unpin that team. So the Sims are saying pretty much just keep V-Carb. I could bring in Leclerc and Hulkenberg, but that's not really it. So I'd be giving up 11 points, which is a lot. But also I'd be gaining almost 2 million more in budget and saving a transfer for Silverstone with that squad. So I feel pretty good about all of these teams. And I don't think I need to freak out too much about my changes. So there we go. Hopefully that was helpful. Me just talking through all my lineups as I looks like I maybe lost service or something. What happened there? Did I go out? I might have to. Oh, are we back? Can people let me know if I'm back? Or did I just, was that just my screen that went kaput? Okay, I think we're back. Was that just me? I don't even know. Okay, it seems like I'm back. Did anyone else lose me? Am I? Bit laggy, but heard you. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay, my entire screen went blank. So I was I was freaking out there for a second. But yeah, I have made my moves. So thank you, everybody. So now I'm all yours for the rest of the stream. The last 43 minutes. We are good to go. Oh my goodness, look at this nonsense. I am a little bit of a perfectionist. We are over 5,900 subs, which is fantastic, but we have 81 to go to get to 6K by Silverstone. So tell your friends, tell your grandmas, tell your cats with their YouTube channels, all that fun stuff, and your dogs. I'm a cat and a dog person. Like I love all animals. Let's see, Jables. Let me see your question here. Should I be frightened of double Audi? I'd like to get off of the double Audi exposure, and that's what I have done in a lot of my teams. And he said, if not, it's a -10 to get out of double. But I don't love that. I guess I'd stick around. Thank you, Bosnian. I appreciate that. That's very kind. Mr. Best is back. Bernard says I'm back. Via Folgi says I'm back. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Nate, I saw your question. Where did it go? Where did it go now? Having a third transfer does not roll over. You don't sell Liam, mate. Why are you doing it? Because then I can get Hadjar in. I think Hadjar's going to score more points, and he has a better chance at getting more budget. Also, I have Liam in 2 of my 3 teams. So, -10 for Bortolotto to Lindblad? Nah, not for me. Is it worth swapping Gasly for Hadjar? No, it is not. Motari, love your content and good insights. Thank you very much. After Limitless, you have 2 free transfers, even though you had 3. Yep, exactly. The meta is maybe my T2 squad, Reese Pockney. If you will transfer, yep. Rebecca, thank you for covering for me there. Jamie, any advice on a very low budget 104.3 million team? Okay. I love a challenge. So this team has 117.5 million in the bank or in the cost cap. So Gasly's going to have to go for 1. Ferrari probably has to go as well. Racing Bulls. And does that do it? Have I solved the case? Maybe you can get Bortoleto and Hadjar? Bortoleto and Hadjar? That should get you very close there, Jamie. This Antonelli, Lindblad, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Lawson, Racing Bulls, Mercedes team. I actually quite like that. Like that quite a bit, to be honest. Okay, so where are we at? So in your first team, you will not change Gasly to Hadjar and save one transfer to roll to next week. That is correct. That is correct. Yes, I think I'm just going to hold off on using the extra transfer and hold it for this week. I would wait. Where'd you go? Cahoon, -10 for Antonelli to Hamilton, or wait? I would wait. That's yeah. Who do we have on poll today, boys? I have Kimmy. Should I move Lawson for Hadjar or save the transfer? I think I'm going to just keep Lawson for now. Just to have 3 free transfers for Silverstone. And quite a bit of money in the bank as well, which is not a bad thing either. I guess there could be a scenario where you could like final fix Lawson to Hadjar if something crazy happened in the next hour in quali, but yeah. Bortoleto out, Lawson in, or keep Bortoleto but save a transfer for next race. I'd like to save the transfer, but I do like Lawson a lot more than Bortoleto. That's tough. Colapinto, so I think I just keep Bortoleto. Colapinto to Lindblad, Bortoleto to Lawson, or keep Bortoleto and roll the transfer. I'd probably just roll. Yeah. Apparently Backstreet is also back. All right. Love it. Should I your T2 team but take a -10? I guess it depends on what you're going from. If it's to like, if you would have Lawson instead of Hadjar, I'd probably hold Lawson. Mr. Best. Good question, though. Also, I want to point out, if you activate LL in Silverstone, you cannot make any changes to your base team. Your team at today's deadline will build your budget in Silverstone. Thank you, Benods. Appreciate that. Ocon, don't love him, but like him in a budget department a little bit more than not Gasly, Colapinto. So that is where that is at. Hold on. I'm going to take another drink. I feel like I'm starting to dehydrate a tiny bit. All right, Glug Glug is back. Where are we at? You know what, guys? Give me 1 second. I am going to do the whole, content creator post their team kind of thing that people like me to do. So, what's the poll going on? If you could, would you move to 4A? 71% say no, 29% say yes. Okay, so we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Let's see. We've done Gasly. I mean, I guess we can just do this. Who do you guys like more? I seem to be very pro Lindblad, but never mind. So let me know what you guys think between Lindblad and what's his face? Gabriel Bortoleto. And where are we here? I am having a great time with y'all. I hope y'all are having a great time with me. So make sure you're liking the stream. I'll be back on... I'm hoping I'm going to be back on Monday. But I'm not going to lie. I'm driving back from the Austrian Grand Prix at god-awful o'clock in the morning. So it could be Monday night or Tuesday night by the time I get my team selection out. But I will still have all of the team episodes or team selection, budget builders, Q&A stream. No, probably no final thoughts this week or next week because I'm going to Paris with my wife for a nice weekend together, but there will be a deadline stream. She has graciously said that, yes, do the deadline stream. The lineup is locked for the Austrian Grand Prix. Could have used the second transfer to move Lawson to Hadjar, but prefer to roll and have, oh my goodness, my fingers are so sticky, just everywhere, and have 3 FTs for Silverstone. Customize. It all looks good. Bada bing, bada boom. It should publish now. Did I mispredict? You did not, but I nearly did. Whoops. There we go. Thank you, Womp Womp. Great call by you. Let's get that done. Predict the podium for the Austrian Grand Prix. This is going to be boring. Let's go Hammy and Lando. Lando loves a good Austrian Grand Prix. Which driver takes pole position? That's going to be Kimi. Wow, Kimi Antonelli is less likely than George. Is that just what? Where is that? Who qualifies highest for the Austrian Grand Prix? This is a tough one. I mean, Max is starting to look a little bit comfortable. What were the FP3 results? How far away was he from Lando? 0.09? You know what? I think it's going to be Max. Doot. Will Haas get a car? Absolutely not. No. That would be crazy. Which team will set the fastest pit stop time of the race? Feels like it'll be Ferrari. Will the safety car or VSC be required in the first 10 laps? Yep, probably. Feels like a Cadillac's not even going to make it out of the garage. Who finishes ahead in the Grand Prix? Now, this is close. I'm going to take a punt. I'm going to say Arvid. Where does Isaac Hadjar finish? 4th through 10th. Who will set the fastest lap time of the race? I'm going to say Kimi. And which driver? Ooh. I guess I'm going to say Lewis, huh? Finish that. But I do need to apply the 2X chip somewhere. Let's go big with Arvid. Let's play some catch up. Boom. Okay, there we go. That was F1 Predict. Hopefully everyone kept up. Manage my teams. All my teams are done. What about Russell? Just not value for money for me, ABK. Have you been thinking that overtake's given quite well? Have you been thinking, and Haas and Racing Bull is typically not as fast in quality as in race. Haas are just like in the bottom half of that midfield bracket, and I'm just not there. I'm just not willing to trust them yet. I love them at the beginning of the season, but it's not bad at all. Jason Nealand, what is up, Jason? Another poll sitter, which you guys can become a part of if you want $5 a month, Discord access, early access to videos, custom emojis, all that fun stuff. I have a T2 lineup, but still have 4.1 million in the bank. I feel like I'm leaving something on the table. 4A with Ant Ham, or maybe it's a Mercedes weekend. Probably thinking. I think you're fine. Jason. You got 4.1 million in the bank. Damn, that's a tasty budget you've got there. T2 has 3 free transfers. Hadjar to Gasly. I'd be rolling a transfer, but using Limitless. If you are using Limitless that weekend, then if you're using Limitless next weekend in Silverstone, no doubt, then yeah, I guess smoke him if you got him, but I actually prefer Hadjar this week, Samsy, so probably. Tumez, you're fine, but I don't actually know if I've answered your question, so I feel kind of bad, and I want to go find it. Where are you? Okay, save 1 transfer or do 2 transfers and exchange Bortoletto for Lawson. I would just save the transfer. I think it's sometimes the best move is not making a move. So that's my thoughts. Alpine to Racing Bulls to allow Ocon to Hadjar. I like that, Brian. I do like that a little bit. Okay, let's get to it. It's either the Cabo cocktails or it's the Cabo cocktails, but I'm confused. I have 2 free transfers. If I use 1 to go from Bordello to Lindblad, I have 3 next week, correct? That is correct. That is correct. How close to the deadline should I confirm transfers? You can probably do it now. I would feel pretty confident right now. Let's go. That's FPL. Let's see. Oh, Rain Fantasy has done it. Bortoletto to Lindblad, roll 1 free transfer. See you next week. Okay, bye, Rain. Thank you. Adam has locked in his chat or his team. Finally bringing Pierre Gasly into my lineup, looking to sneak in 4 cost cap gains. A 4A super team is coming soon. I want to break back into global, so I'm playing a conservative strategy. What are you running this week? Let's see those lineups. Antonelli, Gasly, Lawson, Lindblad, Bortoletto. Is that the same team that I have? Oh, I have Hulkenberg. So he has gone with, he's kind of boosted his up a little bit with Bortoletto, which makes sense. Formula Fantasy Hub, Rob has done it. Bortoletto to Lindblad, roll the transfer into Silverstone for the sprint. Would have preferred Bortoletto to Hulkenberg, but budget is in the bin this year. Hoping to survive this weekend without McLaren coverage. Did put them into T3 too. Good luck, everyone. Yeah, there we go. Pop Pan Man, not locked yet. Talk me into out of this. No, that's a great lineup, Pop Pan Man. I think pretty sure that's the same team as me. Or that's my same as my T2 squad. Gasly to Hadjar, worth it. If it's your only transfer, yes. But if you have to use both free transfers, then no. Maybe we'll take Gasly to be differential from other players. That's perfectly fine. Actually, I guess I have Gasly in all 3 of my lineups. OBR Barana, Mercedes, Ferrari, Kimi, Gasly, Hadjar, Lindblad. Guys, I think for the next 30 minutes, I'm just going to churn through all these questions. So if I have missed your question, just load it up. We'll get it done. I'm going to catch up from right now, from this question here, Obiabera Beanie. So any question that I have missed, just drop it in the chat, and we are going to get through it all right now. I hope YouTube didn't just crash. So there we go. Let's see. I think we're okay. I think we're good. Would you take a -10 for Ferrari plus Lawson versus McLaren plus Bortoletto? I wouldn't if it's if you already have Ferrari and Lawson, I would just keep that. That would be my preferred mode. Build. Would you do Gasly to Hadjar if you could still say yes? I would, actually. What do you think about this team? Antonelli, Hadjar, Lindblad, Lawson, Gasly, Mercedes, Racing Bulls. I have that same team as my T3 squad, so I like it. Lawson to Hadjar, save a transfer. Already have Gasly. I'm saving the transfer. I can do Lawson to Hadjar in my T1 squad, but I'm going to save it. I don't think YouTube crashed, Mr. Best, so hopefully you can get back in here. Zenith, should I trade Ferrari to McLaren and get Lindblad instead of Gasly, or keep Ferrari? I'd keep Ferrari. Ham, Hadjar, Lawson, Lindblad, Bortoletto, Ferrari, McLaren, Kimi, and George to take each other out fighting for the lead. All right, Ivo. We did do a poll on the Thursday Q&A stream, and I think it was like 68% of y'all said that you cheer for other drivers to get a DNF, which is wild. Lawson plus Bortoletto or Gasly plus Hulkenberg. Gasly plus Hulkenberg for me. Play no negative, yes or no. It's really up to your preference. I think it's a good weekend to play it. I'm just not going to do it because I would maybe save it for Silverstone or Brazil or something like that. You know, but as with how many DNS and retirements we're going through right now in F1 Fantasy, I don't think it's bad. I wish we had more no negative chips. I really wish the game had given us like 2 no negative chips. We play 1 in the first half, 1 in the second half, because like it's brutal. Just kind of every weekend feels worse and worse. Bortoletto or Behrman? Bortoletto for me, Javi. Thank you for the question. Hulkenberg or Bortoletto? Bortoletto, but I wouldn't use a transfer. Gully, 110 million with Mercedes, Ferrari, Antonelli, Lawson, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, and Lindblad. I went from Colpin to Lindblad. Should I use my last free transfer to go from Lawson to either Gasly or Hadjar? I'm rolling, so I would say to roll if you are asking me. But if your gut says that Hadjar and Gasly are gonna like really outperform, Lawson this weekend, then I don't mind it, but I do prefer to have 3 free transfers for Silverstone. Antonelli, Colapinto, Lawson, Antonelli, Colapinto, Lawson, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, Ferrari. I would get Colapinto out of there. KM 76184. 3 transfers, 113.3 budget. Move from Antonelli, Ocon, Colapinto, Bortoleto, Bottas to whichever lineup does not have Bottas in it. So number 2, John, thank you for the question. Is it a good idea to play Noganev? Never know when to play it. I prefer to play it in a wet weather weekend, but I really don't think it's a bad weekend to play it. Like it seems like the heat is going to be like do some mad numbers on this field. Samsey says, Antonelli, Hadjar, Lawson, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Ferrari, Mercedes, slightly concerned cars giving up in the heat. I think so too, but you don't have any Cadillac, you don't have any Williams, you don't have any Aston Martin, you don't have any Haas, so it's really not that bad. I like it, Samsey. Based on my budget, I'm sticking with Kimi, Hulk, Lindblad. Let's see here. Let's see. Deciding. Wait, did I miss someone? No. Based on my budget, I'm sticking with Kimi, Hulkenberg, Lindblad. Deciding between Hadjar, Lawson, or Bortoleto, Gasly for final 2 spots. Help. I like Hadjar, Lawson there. SMC. V-Carb in for Ferrari in order to take Hamilton over Colapinto. V-Carb in for Ferrari. Surely there's another move you can make there, Max. Can you just downgrade Colapinto in general? And if you're going to move up to like a Hamilton, I would prefer it next weekend in Silverstone, so maybe not. Lawson to Hadjar or roll transfer. I feel like it's still a wasted transfer and rolling is better. That is exactly what I am doing, Mr. Best. I am not going to use that second free transfer on my T1 squad. I'm just going to keep it in the bank for Silverstone and see what happens. To Jez, would you keep McLaren, Colapinto, 0 transfers, McLaren plus Lawson, 1 transfer, or Ferrari plus Gasly, Hadjar, 2 transfers? That is tough. I definitely want to use at least 1 transfer in that scenario because I really don't like Colapinto. In that scenario, I might use 2 free transfers because I really like the Ferrari, Gasly, Hadjar build. I would probably bring in Hadjar. Wilma, 114.7 budget. Antonelli, Bortoleto, Lawson, Lindblad, Colapinto, Ferrari, Mercedes. I have 2 transfers. Should I save 1 to have 3 next week? What changes should I make? Yes, you should use only 1 to have 3 free transfers next week. And I would go Colapinto. Damn, you already have Bortoleto, Lawson, and Lindblad. That's tough. You're in like a weird spot there. Can you do... Do you have 0.3 million in the bank? Can you do Colapinto to Ocon? That's really tough. Bortoleto for Lawson or roll the transfer? Roll the transfer. Hi, Ewan. Would you sacrifice Ferrari to get budget gains? Ferrari to Racing Bulls, Hulkenberg to Hadjar. I was hit hard and need budget. Because what does that get you? That's an extra 0.9 million. It's risky, but if you have Mercedes, I think it makes it a little bit more manageable. Gasly or Hadjar? Hadjar for me. Is Antonelli, double Audi, double Racing Bulls, McLaren, Mercedes good? It's not bad. I don't love the double Audi, and I prefer Ferrari over McLaren. In a similar way, Lawson to Lindblad or save a transfer. Have Antonelli, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Hadjar as well. I'd save the transfer, I guess. I do prefer Lindblad. Hadjar, it's the other way around. I have McLaren. But I'm thinking of taking a -10 to get Ferrari and Lawson. I really like that Ferrari-Lawson combo, but I don't think it's worth a -10. I think you can get the same amount of budget. You should be okay there, Thunder. Bortoleto to Lawson or save a transfer? I'd save the transfer. Hi, I have Antonelli, Lindblad, Lawson, Hulkenberg, Hadjar, Ferrari, Mercedes. Should I swap out anyone for anyone or Borta? I would. I mean, if you have Lindblad, you have Lawson, you have Hadjar, you have Hulkenberg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a great team. Arjepic, you're fine. Yeah, I think you're solid. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. We are 20 minutes to go in this Austrian Grand Prix deadline stream. 24 no negative chip position. Yeah, that'd be great. Hajar for me. Alex, I already have the Lindblad, Lawson, Borlo, Gasly for my tier B assets. I might just not change anything and burn one of my transfers rather than bringing in any other ideas. No, if you're already there, Alex, you're fine. You're good. Possibly no negative, but I don't know. I prefer to save it for a wet weather weekend, Nezzy. Reese, sorry, not sure if you already answered this, but should I be worried keeping McLaren in one of my teams? Not in one of your teams. Maybe if it was all of your teams, I'd be a little bit worried. It would be nice to have some McLaren exposure, but I'm just not in a spot to go there yet. But I think Ferrari did enough in FP3 to kind of make me think that they are going to be okay this weekend. It seemed like they kind of turned it up a little bit there, and they got a little bit closer to Mercedes. So I'm fine keeping Ferrari and Mercedes. Paddock Taprey says, hey, Indian F1 creator here. I too make fantasy team content and F1 in general. Can you please give me a shout out to me, bro? Loads of love. Yes, there is your shout out, Paddock Taprey. Hope you are doing well. Hajar, would you be confident, Kimmy? I'm not incredibly confident, but I feel pretty good that he's going to get pole position and win the race tomorrow. And if we have to adjust for Silverstone, we have to adjust, and that's why I would like 3 free transfers. Just realized I'm going to have 3 free transfers in all 3 of my teams next week. That is fantastic. Gulliver, okay, yep, I would save it. Colapinto to Borletto, yes, but I would prefer I would prefer it to Lindblad. Lindblad for me, FKN. Gambling with my T1 squad, Hamilton instead of Antelli. It's not that bad this weekend. He looks okay, but not amazing. I mean, he looks good. Oh. Wildcarding next week, Worth Hajar to Gasly. Wildcarding next week. So all your transfers will be burned. No, I would just keep Hajar. But thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Is that still working? There we go. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the super chat, friend. That was very, very nice. Yeah, but even if you, I would just, Hajar, Azir, hi Ewan, worth using my second transfer to swap Bottas for Perez or roll the transfer? Oh, I would just roll because they're both probably going to DNF, Craig, which is very unfortunate. So that's not great. There we go. That's better. It's more even. Goodness gracious, what is going on? My hair looks manic. I promise I tried to style it. It just looks like I've been run through a hedge backwards. What is your exit plan for T3 for the next races? That is a great point, Bluff. I'm going to get to 3 free transfers and possibly have to take a negative 10 at some point, but that's okay. This team's gained 3.6 million in budget. It could gain another 3.6 million in budget this weekend, and then I would be in a very good spot. I would be very happy with that wild card. It would have gained me 7.2 million in 2 race weekends. That feels really good. So if I went up another 3.6 million, I'd be looking at 116 million, where before the Barcelona Grand Prix, I was sub 110. So that would be really good. So I feel like I've used the wild card effectively, and if I have to take a negative 10 to kind of give back some of those points, it's still worth the budget that I've gained this weekend. But for right now, Racing Bulls are giving me no reason to kind of get off of them just because they are budget building like monsters at this point. And if Gasly and Hajar kind of like, if I have Lindblad, Lawson, Racing Bulls, and then but I have, instead of like a Hulkenberg or a Bottas or a Perez, I have Gasly and Hajar. Like, that's pretty good. I feel pretty good about that. We have another super chat here. What do we got here? Super chat. Just a little love from Avalanche. Thank you. Much appreciated. Love the super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was very kind. Remember to like the stream. Yep, Avalanche Pro is a pro. Harpo, sorry. Lindblad Bortoleto or Lawson Bottas? Lindblad Bortoleto, they predict 50 degrees track temperature tomorrow and 0%. Yeah, yeesh. Okay, so when you see me on the team selection episode, I might look as red as my background. But don't worry, I've got the 50 SPF. I'm gonna be lather. I might be as white as my shirt tomorrow. And then hopefully I'm not as red as my background. 15 minutes to go. Ooh la la. We are 69 nice subscribers away from 6K. 6K by Silverstone. Let's get it done, folks. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, back to the chat. Back to the chat. I have McLaren, Mercedes. McLaren looked good in FP2 and FP3, right? Why swap to Ferrari? I haven't swapped to Ferrari. I've just had Ferrari. And I don't mind keeping McLaren. I think if you've gone down the McLaren route, you've kind of made your bet, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay to stick with them. I think Lando has a chance at a podium. Not as good of a feeling as Piastri, but it is fine. Kimi, Hulkenberg, Colapinto, Lindblad, Lawson, Ferrari, Mercedes. I wanted Hadjar somewhere, but I don't know what to do. Can you do Lawson to Bortoleto and Colapinto up to Hadjar? That should help you out there. Lawson or Lindblad? That's a tough one. I had Lindblad in F1 Predict, so I guess I'm backing the rookie a little bit. He is cheaper, less of a price rise threshold, so I'd go Lindblad this weekend. What do you think about no negative budget chip where you negate the impact of budget? Oh, now you're speaking my language, Jalev. That would be fantastic. That would be great. Yes. Sign me up for that all day. Hadjar, bro. Yes. I had Russell from last weekend. I can transfer him out, but do I wait this weekend so I can gain a bit more budget than set up for 4A build or just go to Kimi right now? I think if you have Russell, you may just want to ride it out. The problem is I think he's going to lose budget this weekend, whereas Antonelli is going to gain budget. So maybe you do, but I'd like Antonelli. I think Antonelli is going to crush it this weekend. Prepare for him to crash out in Q3. I forgot to say I'm in top 60, so should I only do Bortoleto to Lindblad and not do Lawson to Hadjar? I have money, but should I roll? I am rolling, Dado. I am rolling in my T1 squad. I am doing that exact same move that you're thinking about. I've just done Colapinto down to Lindblad. I have enough money to roll or to go from Lawson to Hadjar or Hulkenberg to Bortoleto, but I prefer the 3 free transfers for Silverstone. If I use 2 of my 3 free transfers next week, do I still have? Yep, you sure do. That's what I'm doing on my T2 squad. Gasly or Lawson? Gasly. Use a transfer to switch from Russell to Antonelli. Yes, if it's your only one. Russell, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Bortoleto, Ferrari, Mercedes. Only 1 transfer left. Help. Just keep the transfer. Keep the transfer, Varen. Keep it. In my T1, Antonelli, Colapinto, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Gasly, do you think Colapinto to Hadjar or Lawson? And should I use second transfer, Hulkenberg to Bortoleto to Lindblad? I would love Colapinto to Hadjar, Rebecca. That sounds fantastic. Go with that. And then Hulkenberg to Bortoleto or Lindblad. I think it's okay to not use that second transfer, personally. I know it is probably going to be like 0.2, 0.6 in budget, but especially for Bortoleto, you could maybe convince me to do it for Hulkenberg to Lindblad if you really wanted to, but not to Bortoleto. Gabby for Lindblad for -10. Nope. It's Vibe says, I'm sorry I missed the answer, but should I keep Gasly in T3 or get Hadjar instead of Gasly if I change from Hadjar? Then keep the free transfer, It's Vibes. Adolfo says, why no McLaren? This looks like they're faster in general. Are missing something? I think the medium long run pace looked pretty strong from Ferrari, and they seem to be building into the weekend a little bit. Mr. Best, some of the entire discussion so far, Bortoleto to Lindblad. If you had a free transfer, then swapping Gasly to Hadjar makes sense. No caddy, Aston, Haas assets. Rolling transfer is recommended. Thank you, Mr. Best. That is a fantastic summary. Avalanche says, have Mercedes, McLaren, Antonelli, Lawson, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Lindblad, 115.3 million. Would you Colapinto to Bortoleto and save a transfer, or Colapinto to /Lawson to Hadjar Bortoleto? I just did the Colapinto move down to Lindblad. So I guess I would say, yeah, the Colapinto to Bortoleto move is worth it, and just roll the transfer this week, Avalanche. Thank you for the super chat again. Best team for 116.9 budget. Mercedes, Ferrari, Antonelli, Hadjar, Gasly, Lindblad, Bortoleto. Can you do that? Can you get that, Nezzy? That might be, you might be a little bit short. Antonelli, Hamilton, Hadjar, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, Audi for one transfer. Lawson to Hadjar. Sure. Yeah, Lawson to Hadjar is fine. That is a unique lineup, Mr. Zakacha. McLaren, Mercedes is too expensive for most people right now. You need to take a huge driver risk to get it. Yeah, I mean, maybe not a huge risk, but it's not. It is expensive. Would you like a free hit kind of chip for F1? Could be useful on weeks when you have surplus of falling/rising assets. I guess that's what the Limitless chip kind of is, Mr. Iceman, right? Like that's kind of a free hit. And then the wild card is also kind of like that. I prefer the no negative budget one. That sounds great. We'd love that one. We'd play that week 1 in Australia instantly. Din 0027. Lindblad, Bortoleto, Gasly, Hulkenberg roll versus Lindblad, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Hulkenberg. No roll. Definitely not the -10, Din. Bortoleto, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Lindblad, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Hulkenberg. I would just roll. I like the roll option. Thank you, FKN. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Urisoto, if Antonelli and Bortoleto don't hit max price rise, I could 4A Ant/Ham, but would have to get Ham in today. Worth it, or go Antonelli Leclerc or Antonelli Hamilton? I would hold off on 4A, especially for this week, if that's what you're saying, Urisoto. And I don't if Ant and Bortoleto don't hit max price rise, that is likely. So yeah, I would just hold it off. I think Antonelli's going to have a huge weekend. I don't think it's 3x on Antonelli. Probably not for me. Trust John 9299. Gotta run. Good luck, everyone. Thank you, Jables. Hope you're doing well, mate. Appreciate that. I am bringing Lindblad. Should I place Hulkenberg or Bortoleto? Hulkenberg, if you can afford it, Nicholas. That's really nice. Hi, my current team is both Audi drivers, both Racing Bull drivers, Russell, Mercedes, and McLaren. Any recommendations? Maybe keep a transfer, only switching out McLaren for Ferrari, or Russell for Kimi or other. I like rolling the transfer, that dude, 27. And I think that Russell to Kimi transfer is actually probably a better one than the McLaren for Ferrari, if I'm being honest. Let's see. I would just save the transfer, Avalanche. I think I answered that. Hopefully that's okay. Thanks. With a -10, Mr. Bet. Lawson, Lindblad, or Hadjar, Bortoleto? Oh, that's tough. Maybe I would say Hadjar, Bortoleto. Maybe I've said Lawson, Lindblad already on this stream. I think I'd say Hadjar, Bortoleto. I like it now. My budget's around 108. Should I be making moves for my budget? I'd like to prioritize budget, but not too much. Yeah, like what Mr. Best says here, you could try to replicate my third team. I'm doing a reverse F1 fantasy team. Aside from the obvious Cadillac, Aston Martin, who would you bring as a 5th driver? Albon? Is Albon worth a shout? Still worth a roll if you can't do 4A and Silverstone? Yeah, because then you can still budget build with all those kind of things. Din, I think. Hey, do you have any advice on increasing budget quickly? My T1 and T2 are 107. What I did with my third team here, CT24672, is I activate the wild card and I put in like the 2 best tier B assets along with Lindblad and I think I had Bortoleto and Lawson last week, and I've moved to Lindblad now, or Colapinto or something like that, with Mercedes and Racing Bulls, and this has quickly shot up. It went up 3.6 million last week. Why are you choosing Gasly over Hadjar in all your teams? But I had Gasly in all of my teams, but I do have Gasly and Hadjar in 2 of my 3 teams. Ospina. It's just Gasly was already in the T1 squad, and it didn't feel like a swap. It didn't feel worth a swap. Like I said, yeah, thank you, Mr. Best. Ann Mulba, Antonelli, Lawson, Lindblad, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, McLaren. I'd like to get rid of Colapinto, maybe down to like a Bortoletto or up to a Lawson or up to a Hadjar, but I don't know your budget. But thank you anyway. Lawson, Bortoletto to Lindblad for free or roll. Roll. Antonelli, Hamilton, Lawson, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, Audi, thinking Lawson to Hadjar with autopilot. That's kind of nice. Yeah, go for it. Trying to go different to recover Monaco Limitless LO into 3X in Silverstone. That would be nice. I believe I have my 3X here. So we could, but see, like I have 3 free transfers. So I guess the thing is, so if I have 3 free transfers on this T1 squad, if I want to go for it in Silverstone, I've got 3 free transfers. I can figure that out from there. And then I have the wild card on the back end in Spa to kind of get me out of trouble if that is the route that I want to go down. What is my T3 budget? I think it's like 112.4 million. Let me see. Yes, 112.4 million over Soto. Should I go Hulkenberg or Bortoletto, Hadjar or Gasly for this weekend? Gasly. Is there any news of teams not being able to start, etc.? Great question, Modest Cowboy. Let's go find out. Is anyone freaking out? Is anyone in the Discord? Doesn't look too bad. I don't see anyone freaking out on X, so that's good. So Leapsfrog, 2024 champ. These are my teams for Austrian Grand Prix. Lawson and Bortoletto go get the 0.6 budget increases. So yep, very similar teams to what he has almost all the same. Yeah, very similar teams. And Rain. Okay, so we've been through all those already, so that's good. 4 minutes to go. How did we get here? I have the same T1 as you, except I have Hadjar for Lindblad. That's fine, James. I just didn't want to use the extra transfer there. Do you think it's easy for teams to get 4A in F1 Fantasy compared to a similar strength team in other fantasy sports? 2 less races than expected, yet should be 4A. I think that's just a mechanism of this year. Everyone started off pretty strong, Ahmed, which is a lot different to what happened last year. Planning that team to 3X in Silverstone with Ant, Hamlet, already in Tram. That's good. Colapinto or Bortoletto. Antonelli, Lawson, Colapinto, Bortoletto. Colapinto out for Lindblad. And then if you want to use the second Colapinto out for Lindblad and Bottas up to Bortoletto. Thinking on Limitless next week, what would you lock in this week? Debating McLaren or Ferrari with Bortoletto or Lindblad. I would go Ferrari and Lindblad, DesX. Are Racing Bulls, Lewis, Antonelli, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Lindblad, or your T1 squad? I like my T1 squad because that's what I did. Done Colapinto to Lindblad. Is Lawson to Hadjar worth a second transfer? I'm not doing that, Nezzy, but so I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather have the third free transfer. Hadjar or Gasly? Hadjar for me. If you have a free transfer, then Gasly to Hadjar. Oh, there we go. Ferrari to Mercedes for a -10. Probably not. Have loads of fun tomorrow and a safe trip. I hope you'll be wrapping. I will be. I've got my shirt ready. It does have a giant Texas flag on it, which I'm not like too worried about, but yeah, it's always a little awkward to wear just a giant Texas flag in Europe. Is Silverstone a good 3X option with Antonelli both? Yep, that's perfect. That's perfect, Mr. Jacacha. I have Ferrari, Mercedes, Antonelli, but -10. I don't love -10s, Theo, or the Theo Pranal. There we go. I got there. Russell, Lawson, Bortoletto, Lindblad, Hulkenberg, Mercedes, McLaren. What should I do? Keep 2 transfers or change? I'd like to roll the transfer for sure. And I think your team looks A-okay, to be honest. Maybe Russell to Antonelli is your only move, or McLaren to Ferrari, but I'd probably go Russell to Antonelli, Sem RKO. And I think that's, Mitch Kirkham. I have Ferrari, McLaren, was going to do different transfer, call it a little bit. Should I bring in Merck or roll the I would roll the transfer, Mitch, if I was you. And we are 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go and 63 subscribers away from 9 or 6K. So we're going to hit that next week, hopefully. And hopefully you guys will all be back for the next deadline stream. You guys have absolutely crushed it. It has been fantastic. Where are we at? I don't even know. Just if anyone has any last minute questions, don't forget to like the stream on the way out, as I see people are leaving in droves, which is fine. But yeah, I hope everyone is having a great time. Hopefully Austria goes well. When in Austria, it's obligatory to have Apfelstrudel mit Schlagobers. Enjoy. Thank you, JJJ. I will definitely be looking that up. I'm heading to Salzburg in 19 seconds. Pretty much. I just got to double check that I got my passport, I got my ticket, I got my sunglasses, I got my sunscreen, and everything is hunky dory. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are locked and loaded, folks. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Nope, it did not confuse me, Mr. Best. You're absolutely crushing it. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you to Rebecca. Thank you to Mr. Best for moderating today's chat, because it was getting a little bit crazy there. So we are good to go. You are welcome, Mitch. Hopefully everything goes swimmingly well. And I hope everyone has a great qualifying and a great Grand Prix. And I'm sure I'll be, posting and tweeting and all that fun stuff from the track. So follow me on X at F1FancyEwan and Blue Sky and Threads and Instagram and TikTok and all that fun stuff if you want to see some extra content from the track. So you guys are absolutely crushing it. I'm going to get out of here. So I hope you enjoy qualifying and the race. And yeah, like I said, I'll be back on Monday, maybe Tuesday, with my team selection. So once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I will talk to you next time.